I watched them watching me, the way their eyes shook when mine didn't. Funny, isn't it? People crave truth, but the moment it looks back at them, they flinch. Every twitch, every breath, every silence, they think they're reading me. But I'm reading the storm behind their pupils. The world taught them to hide their tremors, but not how to own them. I see it all, the doubt pretending to be calm, the smile that doesn't reach the eyes, the stillness that's really fear in costume. You can feel it too, can't you? That pulse in your chest when you're being observed, when the air thickens and the silence grows teeth. That's not fear, it's awakening. That's your body reminding you that masks crack under pressure. I never feared being seen. I feared being ordinary. So I turned observation into art. I became unreadable. Not because I'm empty, but because I'm overflowing with too much truth to fit in one expression. Every expert studies posture. Every observer dissects stillness. But none of them understand chaos with control. That's the real trick. To move without revealing. To breathe without explaining. Power isn't in the scream. It's in the smirk before it. The pause before the next move. The confidence that doesn't need to announce itself because the air already bends to it. People call that dangerous. I call it present. You see, they can't measure what doesn't flinch. They panic when calm refuses to break. That's the part they'll never admit control unnerves. Those who lost it. Every room has its rhythm. Every face its map. Once you learn to read it, you stop reacting. You start designing. That's when they start losing it, because they realize you've seen the code behind their composure. You're not just standing there anymore, you're rewriting the silence around them. And that's when it happens. The shift. They blink a little too long. Their throat tightens. Their voice wavers. You've entered their field, not as a presence, but as a reflection. A mirror that doesn't just show them, it judges them without a word. That's the moment they lose control. That's the moment you become the one they can't decode. The one who moves through chaos like it's choreography. The one they can't stop watching. Because every move feels like it knows something they don't. It begins quiet. Always quiet. That kind of silence that doesn't rest. It breathes. It crawls through the walls and sits beside you. Most people can't handle it. They fidget. They laugh too loud. They start speaking just to drown their own heartbeat. But me, I learned to live inside that silence. I let it sharpen me, mold me. I discovered that silence isn't empty. It's full of everything people are too afraid to say out loud. Every word you swallow leaves a shadow. Every emotion you bury grows teeth. And one day it learns how to speak for you. That's what they call body language. A confession your muscles make when your mind is busy lying. You can hide behind words, but your breath doesn't lie. Your eyes don't lie. Your stillness betrays the storm. And I see it all. The hesitation before the answer. The forced laugh. The shoulders pretending to relax. It's beautiful, really, how honesty leaks through the smallest cracks. They say experts can read micro-expressions. But what happens when those expressions don't belong to fear or guilt, but to awareness? What happens when silence stops being submission and starts becoming strategy? That's when confusion begins. They can't tell if you're calm or plot. They can't decide if your smile is peace or precision. That's when the watchers lose their balance. That's when power shifts. See, silence is a storm in disguise. The world taught you to speak to be heard. I learned to pause to be remembered. There's rhythm in restraint, strength in quiet control. Most people wait for their turn to talk. I wait for their silence to crack, because that's when truth walks in. And when it does, I don't rush to meet it. I let it come to me, slowly, willingly. That's the difference between chasing validation and becoming, and maybe that's what unsettles them the most. The fact that stillness can dominate a room, louder than chaos ever could. The fact that someone can hold attention not through performance but through presence. They expect noise, I give them gravity. They expect reaction, I give them reflection. That's when they realize they're not watching me anymore. They're watching themselves fall apart in my silence. Eyes, the oldest language, the one that never learned to lie. People think they're hiding behind them, but the truth sits right there, trembling under the lash. I've seen it, how a gaze shifts when confidence cracks, how pupils betray emotions faster than the tongue can form excuses. The world is full of faces wearing armor, but the eyes, they never forget where the wounds are buried. You can tell when someone's pretending. The eyes move too much, too fast, chasing approval like a trapped animal looking for an exit. But real power doesn't chase, it observes. Still, unshaken, watching everything, missing nothing. The calm stare isn't arrogance, it's control refined into art. It's saying I see you without a single word. And that silence, that steady look, it disarms louder than any scream could. The experts call it presence. I call it truth revealed through patience. Because when you hold a gaze long enough, something happens. They start to show you who they really are. Their words falter, their gestures crumble. They reveal secrets they didn't even know they were hiding. That's not magic. That's awareness sculpted into dominance. You're not intimidating them. You're making them meet themselves. There's beauty in that still confrontation. Two minds locked. No words, no mask. Just rhythm, just instinct, just truth bleeding through the surface. That's where I live, in the unspoken stare that outlasts the performance. In that moment, the world falls away. No noise, no roles, just the pulse of raw honesty beating between two pairs of eyes that finally stopped pretending. And that's when they break. That's when they blink, because they realize you weren't looking at them. You were looking through them. You weren't studying weakness. You were studying reflection. That's when the watchers finally understand. They can analyze everything about you, but they can't measure calm that refuses to hide. They call it mystery. I call it mastery. People think chaos is loud, explosive, destructive, but real chaos, it's quiet, calculated, surgical. It doesn't announce itself, it seeps in, rearranging everything before anyone even notices. The weak panic when the pattern breaks. The strong, they become the pattern. They don't fight the storm, they synchronize with it. That's the art. That's the secret nobody talks about. You see, control isn't about taming the wild. It's about dancing with it. The world worships order, but order is fragile. One whisper of madness and it collapses. Chaos is eternal. It never dies, it just shifts form. The ones who survive aren't the ones who resist it. They're the ones who learn its rhythm. You don't silence the noise, you tune into it. You let it roar inside you until it becomes music. I've lived in that rhythm. The line between logic and lunacy. It's where creation hides. You build masterpieces there. Out of fragments. Out of fire. The world calls it unstable. But they don't understand that genius doesn't come from peace, it comes from pressure, from the fracture points, from the places where everything almost fell apart but did. That's where identity is forged. People fear losing control because they think control defines them. But sometimes to find yourself you have to let go. Let the storm rewrite your name. Let the chaos sculpt your silence. Let the madness teach you balance. Because once you master chaos, you stop fearing the unexpected. You become it. And that's the ultimate paradox. They call you dangerous, not because you destroy, but because you create in the middle of destruction. You move through wreckage like it's a stage. You build empires from ash. You smile while everything burns, not because you enjoy the fire, but because you are the fire, contained, purposeful, alive. I look at the mirror and it laughs first. Not mockingly, not cruel, just honest. The kind of laugh that says, "So, you finally see it, don't you?" The reflection isn't my enemy, it's my accomplice. It knows the truth I hide from the world. It knows the versions of me I've killed just to keep breathing. Every smile carved, every scar earned. The mirror remembers. Always. People think masks hide you. But no, masks reveal you. They peel off the skin of expectations. They strip away the lies you wear to fit in. The mirror doesn't care who you pretend to be. It only shows what's left when pretending ends. That's why most people can't stand to look too long. The reflection starts talking back, starts asking questions they can't answer. Sometimes I wonder how many people could survive a conversation with their own reflection. Not the edited one, the real one. The version that whispers your fears, your failures, your hunger for control. Most would shatter the glass before they'd admit what it shows. But not me. I stare. I listen. I let it speak. Because the reflection isn't my punishment, it's my prophecy. You can't lie to the mirror. It catches the flicker in your eyes when your soul trembles. It knows when your smile isn't real. It knows when you're about to break. That's why I stopped running from it. I started learning from it. Every crack in that glass became a map, a pattern of pain, truth, and rebirth. That's how I found myself again. So when people say I've changed, I laugh. Because change isn't a process. It's a confrontation. A war between who you were and who you're becoming. And the mirror. It's the battlefield. Every reflection a reminder that I don't fear what I see anymore. I own it. There's a language that lives between words. A rhythm that no one teaches. You feel it in the pauses, in the breath before you answer, in the quiet after you've said too much. That's where truth hides. In silence. In the spaces people are too afraid to listen to. Because silence doesn't comfort, it exposes. It reveals what sound tries to bury. I learned early. People speak to escape themselves. They fill the air with noise, hoping no one notices the tremor in their tone, the hesitation in their heartbeat. But silence, silence, undresses the soul. It peels the armor off, one breath at a time. That's why I love it. Because silence never lies. It watches. It waits. It listens longer than anyone else ever will. They ask me why I don't speak sometimes. I tell them, I already said everything I needed to without saying a word. The twitch in my smile, the tilt of my head, the stare that lingers a second too long. That's my vocabulary now. Words are cheap, but silence has weight. It bends the air around you until everyone feels what you're not saying. And when you master silence, you master power. You become the pause that makes others uneasy, the stillness that makes their confidence crumble. Because in a world addicted to noise, silence is rebellion. It's control. It's clarity. You start hearing everything, the lies, the fear, the trembling truth behind every conversation. So I stopped explaining myself. I let the silence do it. And it spoke louder than any speech could. It told them everything they feared to know. That I see through them. That I understand them. That I no longer need their validation. The silence between words became my weapon. And my peace. Stand in front of a mirror long enough, and you'll notice it stops reflecting your fate. It starts reflecting your truth. The one you keep buried beneath excuses. smiles, and perfectly rehearsed lines. Most people don't look long enough to see it. They blink. They look away. They're afraid of what's staring back. But not me. I learned to look until the mirror blinked first. Because that reflection, it's not a stranger. It's the version of you that remembers every betrayal, every insult, every moment you swallowed your voice just to be accepted. It knows the pain you dressed as patience, the rage you disguised as kindness, the fear you sold as discipline. The mirror never forgets. It waits for you to stop pretending. They told me mirrors show what's real, but they don't. They show what you believe is real. And belief, that's a fragile thing. Twist it enough and you can become anything. That's what I did. I twisted the reflection until the person in the glass wasn't ashamed anymore. Until the eyes looking back weren't asking for understanding. They were daring the world to misunderstand them. Every scar, every smirk, every flicker of madness in those eyes. It wasn't brokenness, it was evolution. The mirror became my battlefield, and every glance was a war I refused to lose. The reflection didn't just watch me, it became me. It started whispering not words, but intent, confidence, presence, chaos, wrapped in calm. And now, when I look into that glass, I don't see someone searching for approval. I see someone who no longer needs it. Someone who became his own mirror, unfiltered, unapologetic, and unbreakable. Because once the mirror starts watching back, you stop being the reflection. You become the reality. It's not the noise that defines power. It's the silence that follows it. The pause after a sentence where hearts skip, breaths hold, and minds race to fill the gap. That's where truth hides. That's where fear begins. Most people talk to be heard, but the ones who truly own the room, they let silence do the speaking. Because silence isn't emptiness, it's precision. Every unspoken word cuts deeper than 1,000 loud confessions. It's control without movement, authority without demand. When I learned that, I stopped explaining myself. I stopped defending my worth. I let the quiet hang heavy until they started explaining theirs. Funny thing, people reveal everything when they can't handle your calm. The world fears silence because it forces reflection. It drags hidden insecurities to the surface and makes them tremble. When you don't rush to fill the void, others will expose themselves trying to escape it. That's not manipulation. That's awareness. That's the art of psychological gravity. Pulling without touching, winning without fighting. There's something intoxicating about mastering that space between words. It's where respect is earned without demand, and dominance breathes without noise. When you speak less, your presence expands. When you act less, your impact multiplies. That's the secret they never taught you. Control isn't about volume, it's about vibration. So next time someone tests your peace, don't rise, don't flinch, let the silence speak. Because in that quiet storm, power doesn't scream. It watches, it waits, and when it finally moves, it doesn't ask, it commands. There's a kind of strength that doesn't need movement. It doesn't shout, it doesn't announce itself, it just exists. Like a loaded gun resting on a table. Quiet, still, yet everyone in the room feels its presence. That's what real power feels like. Not chaos, not anger, stillness. The kind that unnerves even the loudest souls. Because it means control has already shifted. Most people can't handle stillness. It exposes them, makes them fidget, makes them talk too much. They mistake noise for confidence. But stillness is the calm before understanding, the awareness before explosion. The moment when you've already made your decision, but haven't shown it yet. That's where real dominance lives. When I learned to stand still, everything changed. No more rushing, no more chasing validation. I let the world come to me, and it did. Because stillness creates gravity. The kind that draws respect, fear, and curiosity. Without a single move, you stop running after acknowledgement. When you realize silence gets you further than speed ever could. They used to call me unpredictable. They were right. Because stillness doesn't mean peace. It means readiness, a storm waiting for the right second to break. You don't need to prove yourself. When you know yourself, that's the secret no one told you. Power isn't found in reaction. It's born in the pause before it. So when they stare, when they whisper, when they try to break your calm, just stay still. Let them drown in their own noise. Because the one who moves last always moves best.